Okay. So let's begin. Concentrating deep on the core of the belly. Making this gentle turn, looking over the shoulder. Just stretch the back out and see where it goes to. And again on the other side. Maybe once or twice each side. And then we can release into the turn. Make sure the turn comes from deep inside the belly, not from the shoulders and hands. Really try and turn the core from side to side. Morning, Anya. So,
Morning, Jeremy.
Hello, good morning. So this morning has brought about a change in the weather, which obviously, to put into context, if somebody watches this video at another time, we're just kind of feeling the tendrils of spring arriving, and now suddenly it's wet and miserable and grey. That is definitely the way of how seasons arrive. There's this feeling that we get a couple of days, oh, wonderful, spring's here, and then, oh no, spring's gone. And then a few more days, oh, spring's here, and then, oh no, spring's gone. And it sort of comes and goes. And you think about it like a tide coming in. The waves gently sort of arrive on the beach, and then they go back, and eventually they get a bit higher up the beach, and then they go back, and eventually they get right up, and there's so little movement that the tide sort of basically stays when we get to high tide. And so too with the movement of the seasons. And so today is a kind of a setback in the seasonal shift, but to be expected. However, it also comes sometimes with a setback in the mood of your yourself, your being. It can sometimes feel like, oh dear, what's happened? Everything's going a bit sort of, pear-shaped today. It's not quite as good a day as it was yesterday. So we're very apt to put our judgment on things. We're very apt to look at things and think, today is not as good as yesterday was. And that is such a subjective thing. And there's the old British phrase, no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing choice. And so quite clearly, at this time of year, the earth needs water. We need to fill our reservoirs. We need to get the ground moist so the crops and the seeds can awaken. And it's part and parcel of the cycle of life. And so perhaps you'd like to see sunshine outside your door, but I'll share with you one story. When I was a young man, I lived in Johannesburg for many years, about 4 or 5 years. And I used to wake up every morning, open up the curtains, another bright blue sunshiny day, until it got depressing. And so it's kind of, oh God, there's just never any change. It's always bright blue. It's always hot. And so I used to occasionally journey down to Cape Town, where sometimes they had clouds and a bit of rain, just to get a sort of feeling of difference, a feeling of change. And so, yeah, that's a sort of little insight into that whole idea of, wouldn't it be nice if it was sunny every day? Well, I found that that wasn't the case. I like change. I try and embrace change as much as possible. And so when the change comes, what judgment do you put onto it? And it's exactly the same when we feel, when we fall ill. So for instance, when I was talking to our teacher Lou, and saying to him, well, all these different illnesses, and he said, no, not all these different illnesses. He basically said, there's only really one thing, and that's viruses. And otherwise, everything else is kind of, he wasn't saying avoidable, but he was kind of hinting at that. And so he was saying, even with viruses, obviously you can defend against those as well. And Dr. Pang has been meant to say, if you fill yourself so full with chi, it's not possible for a virus to actually have any space or enter. And so the one thing that we're sort of battling with in our lives is viruses at this time of year. My daughter's just had norovirus, and my son-in-law coronavirus, and so forth. And people always at this time of year, their immune is a little bit lower. And so you end up working your way through some sort of viral challenge. And that can also be a bit kind of, I hate to use the word, but a bit depressing. It's kind of like, oh, I look after myself so well. How come this is happening to me? Well, I think there's virtually not a human on earth who won't experience coronavirus. I think there's an awful lot of people won't be affected by it, but I think everybody will eventually come in contact with it. That's our sort of human story. It's unfortunate, but well, people say coronavirus, I say flu. Flu is unfortunately the viral load that harvests most of our older people. That's the way it goes, Flu takes you away. And I think it's just the natural sort of system of a human being's cycle. And so we just have to accept that when viruses come around, the best thing to do is just to say, oh, okay, body needed a rest at this moment. Let's just take some time off and allow the virus to cycle through and come out the other side feeling better, cleaner, stronger. And in the meantime, just lie in bed and let it happen. Just lie in front of Netflix, take your vitamin C and vitamin D and just allow it to cycle through. And so, and of course, do a little bit of qigong. So again, that's putting judgment on how bad these things are, when in fact, nothing is ever really bad or good. Judgment is a terrible, easy thing to get into. If it doesn't suit you, you have to ask, what part of me does it not suit? And so very often during my working life, it used to be that story of, oh God, I've got so much to do. How can I have flu now? God. And the truth of that is that if you look at your life and you see how busy you've made yourself, then that's where the real criticism should be. It shouldn't be the criticism of a virus. It should be the criticism of your lifestyle. Rushing around too much, not taking enough notice of your health leads to, you see where I'm going. And so every time we find ourselves judging things, oh, weather, so terrible today, or oh God, I've got another cold, or, well, there's only two examples I can think of right now. But what you need to do is to start looking at the underlying and think to yourself, why do I feel that way about this situation? What is being, and in Chinese medicine, they use the term insulted. Your liver was insulted by that meal. I think it's a lovely idea. Your liver should turn up and say, hang on a minute, how dare you eat that large fried breakfast? I'm insulted by your behavior. I love the idea of that. It just amuses me immensely. But there's all these kind of terms in Chinese medicine that don't quite translate. Perhaps they do, perhaps they translate perfectly. Okay, so let's move into the second phase and stretch out a bit more and go a bit slower. Yeah, so it's feeling insulted by a blow and then asking yourself, what part of me feels insulted by that change in the weather? Why do I feel a bit depressed today because it's raining? You sort of have to look a bit more deeply at patterns inside. Child stuck inside, nothing to do. How funny. Just think about boredom back in the 1970s. I used to be bored a lot of the time. I think people need boredom. They need to understand boredom better. I don't think anybody in the, who was born after the year 2000 has ever been bored. So yes, some sort of childhood pattern, remembering rainy days and how bored you felt. And now it triggers you now. Well, break that pattern. Get on your waterproofs, stomp out into the cold, rainy weather and just say, the hell with you, I'm going to have a good walk. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to, please don't catch cold. Please dress carefully and properly. You know what I mean? Break cycles, people. It's all about breaking the cycles. It's all about identifying the reason for your lethargy, identifying the reason for your anger, identifying the reason for your upset, for your worry, digging into it and looking at it, finding the root level of it and saying, why? What part of me feels worried about that? I'm worried about my partner going off to work in all that traffic. You think, well, is that really something to worry about? Is it something that you can change? Is it something that you have any control over? What good is this worrying process actually doing you? What part of you is worried? Deep down, you've heard some news story from some person who lives in Azerbaijan who's been hit by a truck. You sort of think to yourself, yeah, well, that actually is not relevant to me. Let's try and take the weight off that one. Or your grandmother who always used to say, be careful, it's dangerous out there. You're still holding that story with no evidence to support it. I'll go around that loop one more time. I was chatting to my wife and saying, in the last 50 years, I can think of one person who acted so incredibly foolishly that they were killed in a road traffic accident, a young boy who I knew. And I was saying to my wife, she's from Brazil, and Brazil, they have very wild, crazy roads out there. I said, in the UK, just hardly anybody. We were talking about godparents and how in Brazil, very often godparents suddenly find themselves with a whole new family because the two parents have been killed in some tragic car accident. Saying, gosh, that just doesn't function in the UK anymore. The amount of people who, and with all due respect to you, perhaps you might have had someone close to you who's had a traffic accident. But, for me, I'm blessed. I can't think of anybody who's been in that kind of trauma, anybody at all that I know in my life. I think I'm very lucky from that perspective. But actually, the things are, we worry about these things, but the reality of these things is really small. Once I did some research into murder, you discover that 50 or 60 or 70 people out of our 57 million get killed every year. So much of it to do with drugs, quite a lot of it to do with family. But the amount is 0.0000001% of our population. And yet our newspapers and TV help us to live in fear every day. You can imagine if it's, a court case, the event, the continuation of the court case, the sentencing, all of these of the process, and they can spread that same story over weeks and weeks. And you can just live in fear in your own home of something happening. The reality is that it's just highly, highly, highly unlikely. So look at your reaction to the news. Look at your reaction to old patterns that have been drilled into you by your mother and your grandmother, father, grandfather. Okay. And see them for what they are, just patterns, just stories. Let's stop now. And as Dr. Pang says, you are not your story. That bad event that happened to you in the past, is it happening to you at this very moment? Answer, no. All right, let it go. Let's do some simple forward and back. Let's gather ourselves. Goodness, I'm feeling a bit sort of wobbled there, so let's just gather some chi. You are not your story. Gosh, that's important information. We find that we are the assemblage of so many different events that have brought us to this place. If those events brought us here, it's like being delivered in a taxi to this part of your life, but the taxi doesn't stay, it drives off, You sort of think, oh, goodness, this is who I am. It's not who you are. Those things adjusted and changed your path, but they don't make you who you really are. So often we have tragedies, parents who die, children who die, illness, sickness, And we just live that, and we continue to live it every day of our lives. And yet that is not our reality. So important to release ourselves from those bonds. Let's just drift down and release our back from its bonds this morning. Drift down, take it easy. Okay, so little stretch towards your toes and release. In line with the roots of your toes, release. In line with your insteps and release. Back towards your heels. Let the body hang. Tailbone lifts up behind, tailbone pushes to the front, spine rolls up, head, arms and ears roll up, stretch up. Knees and hips go forward, you lean back. Stretching up, gently back. Up, back, up, and back. Hands up in the blue sky. Left hand goes down. Swap over, right hand goes down. Left hand goes down. Right hand down. And then right hand up. Draw chi over the crown of the head, allow chi to pour. Draw the chi down through the body. Let's go down into a second forward bend. Just allow ourselves to gently drift down. Body relaxes, body hangs. Stretch softly towards your toes and release. Roots of your toes. Release. Insteps. Release. Heels. Relax and hang. Tailbone lifts behind. Tailbone pushes to the front. Spine rolls up. Head, arms and ears come up. Stretch up. Blue sky. Knees and hips forward. Stretching up and back. Stretching up and back. Up and back. Draw the hands up into the blue sky. Let's do our side bends then. Left hand goes down. Right hand down. Left hand down. Right hand down. Right hand up. Let's really open up our hamstrings now. Okay, so straight legs. Roll down. Sink and settle. The whole body relax. Drift down towards your toes and release. In line with the roots of your toes. Release. In steps and release. Heels. Body relaxes and hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind. Push the tailbone to the front. Scroll the spine up. Nice long stretch to the blue sky. backwards and up, back and up. 3 and up. 4 and up. Left hand down. Right hand down. Left hand down. Right hand. And draw the right hand up. Last time through this cycle, nice straight legs, head, arms, ears. Legs stay straight. Stretch your way down. And relax. Towards the toes. And release. The roots of the toes. And release. In steps. And release. Heels. Body relaxes and hangs. Tailbone lifts up behind. Tailbone pushes to the front. Spine rolls up. Head, arms, and ears gather up, stretching to the blue sky. Knees and hips forward. Lean back. Up and back. Up. Gently back. Up and back. Good. Left hand down. Right hand down. Left hand down. Right hand down. Good, and then right hand up. Draw the hands over the crown of the head. Chi pulls through the body. Just gently releasing the hands down. We can gather some chi. Pour it through. Aim it deep into the lower dantian. You can let the hands settle on your belly. When you feel in balance, when you feel that you've drawn all the energy you need down, your body feels stable, bring the hands back to the belly. Just settle for a few moments. The hands down by the sides, bring the feet together into the Shananga posture. Body relaxes and mind expands. Find a nice, comfortable, easy posture. Knees bent, tailbone drawing downwards. Spine's long, top of the head pushing upwards. Just relaxed in the center of the chest. We tip the tailbone forward just a tiny bit. Sit down, soften into the knees. The 8 phrases of Qi. Ding Qian Li Di Ying Song Yi Chong Wai Ji De Ji Shen Chong Mao Gong Yin Yang Bo Qi Shen Zhou Tai Kong Shen Yi Jiao Ti Joshen Rom Rom, Joshen Rom Rom, Joshen Rom. Feel the connection to the earth, feel the connection from the heavens into your body. Energy flows up and down, energy releases from inside out into the chi field. From the chi field, we gather energy inside to replenish and heal our bodies. We stay relaxed, quiet, in a comfortable, humble stance. It just allows our body to be at one with the chi field around us. We keep our mind quiet. Just relax, relax, and relax. When we expand out, we can also feel our connection out. We feel our connection as a group. We feel our group's connection to the wider whole. Expanding out. Feel our connection. Feel my connection to you. Feel all of your connection to each other. No time, no space. We share this practice space together. As a family, we support each other. Whatever you need, you know it's there. Okay, we can just gently set up our standing posture. Turn the palms to face towards the back and lift the fingers to 90 degrees. Softly push the hands forward just a tiny bit. Connect out. Pull the hands back. Allow the chi to flow to your body. It's only a tiny movement, but a big idea. Push forward and connect out. Pull backward and gather the chi. Let the hands relax. Little fingers go deep into the earth. You gather chi up. Bring the chi up in front of the belly. Ball of chi. Sending energy deep inside. Turning palms to face down. Gathering hands to the sides. Gathering hands to the back. Middle fingers sending chi. Draw the hands up the side of the body. Lightly touch Da Bao. Elbows go backwards. Hands go forwards. We out into the blue sky. And then draw chi back to the upper dantian. Open elbows and wrists. Hands open. Palms turned down. Little scoop of the hands. Lift chi up. Draw the chi up over the crown of the head into the prayer position. Extend up into the blue sky. And then allow the hands to drift down over the top of the head, down in front of the face, down in front of the heart. We just make a little, actually first set up the feet. So step on chi. Stand on your heels and open your toes. Stand on your toes, open your heels. Come out into a generous shoulder width posture. Bring the hands down to make a little ball that sets on the belly. So that's it, the most basic standing posture. We just flare our heels a tiny bit wider than our toes. We bend our knees. Tailbone sinks down and slightly forward. Spine long, chin tucked. This little ball of chi can either sit on the belly button or it can open out a little bit in front of the belly button. And that's it. From now onwards, you have to find the posture that suits you. The guidelines are simple. Now you have to make something that's nice for you to stand in. A posture you can stay relaxed, a posture that can allow you to quieten your mind. When you stand in this exercise, which is called 3 centers merge, because we have our knees slightly bent and our heels slightly wider than our toes, it sends the weight towards the front of the foot. That opens up Yongquan, the kidney point on the sole of the foot, and allows qi to flow out of the body into the earth, allows the earth qi to flow up. So by bending the knees and shifting the weight into the front of the foot, we've really improved our connectivity, as it were. The other extreme, the top of the head, we're gently pushing by way up, getting a nice straight neck and pushing by way, chin moving slightly backwards. Just by doing that, by way, it opens, blossoms. This wonderful point on top of the head that allows all the qi to pour down from the heavens above into your body. So this standing posture is attuned to bring you the greatest amount of energy possible. And as Dr. Pang says, if your body's filled with the maximum amount of qi possible, there's just no room for any viruses to enter. So fill your body with qi today. And then on the palm of your hands, Lao Gong, there's an energy point there that starts to gather qi. So if your hands are together, you can imagine this line that runs from the tip of your middle fingers down to the tips of your elbows, like a triangle, and then from each elbow through your waist, deep into lower dantian. If your hands are off and open, holding a ball of qi, perhaps that feeling slightly less obvious, but actually what's happening is qi is also coming in through the palm of your hands, moving up through the centers of your arm, all the way to your shoulders, and then it pours down into your dantian. This exercise set, 3 centers merge, is about gathering as much qi as you possibly can. Allowing this energy from outside of the body to flow in. But also it's important to remember that we need to release and make space inside. So if the inside of your body / mind is full, if the patterns are chock full, if there's no room to break through, then where are you going to put all this new energy? So we have to release. We have to let go. We have to let go of the old stories inside. And your judgments are one of the best things to point you to those stories. What judgments do you hold? So one of the core bedrocks of our judgment system is very often family. What values were you given that you cling on to? So very often, as young people, we're kind of brought up in a religious setting. We're just told, this is it. And our parents support it, and the church supports it. And we don't question it. Because that's what mum and dad always did. They always went to church on a Sunday. They're very good religious people, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes when you go to a workplace, you look at it and you think to yourself, how strange, why? And the answer to why is generally, well, that's the way we've always done it. Your education system, gosh, it didn't develop or it didn't change for hundreds of years. We're still cramming maths and science into people's heads and ignoring art and sport. But you're a product of that system. You're a product of Western medical thinking. You're a product of Western religion, Western parenting, but you're also a product of your own choices, your own relationships. It seemed like a good idea to get married, that kind of thing. Sometimes it sort of seemed like a good idea at the time. No longer seems like a good idea, but hey, it's these choices that we make. But do those choices have to continue to define you? Root them out. See them for what they are. Change them. Or change the way you feel about them. If you can fill in the blanks of this sentence, the biggest mistake I ever made was ... Buying that house, marrying that person, getting that job. The biggest mistake I ever made. If you still have something that fits into that category, then that's a great place to start. Another one of those sentences, if you can complete the sentence, I cannot forgive X for Y. If you're still holding some hurt like that, I cannot forgive X, my father, for Y, not loving me. If that's still there are patterns that are being held there that need to be changed. I cannot believe that I did blah, 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 blah. So take something from one of those categories, and we're going to use la chi to dissolve it. So sometimes it's nice to have a figure, a person, a logo, an idea, something that encapsulates the whole problem. It's a bit crass, the worst car I ever bought was, and then you could think about your, car sitting on your drive that you hate, and you can think about the make of it, and you can just dissolve it. Think, let all the problems with that go. Bring back a perfect working car. Okay, so the reality of it is that perhaps you're not going to heal your car. Well, maybe you are. Perhaps you really can. Perhaps it's a person. You see that person. Can you change that person? You might have spent years trying and getting nowhere and feeling frustrated. The bad news is, no, you can't change them. The only thing you can do is change your relationship to them, your relationship to your car, your relationship to your job, your relationship to your grandfather. Well, hang on a second. Grandpa's dead for 20 years, and I still resent that he did this and did that. Okay, so doesn't matter, past or present, future, dissolve, let go, change that. Let grandpa's hold over you finally dissolve and go, and bring back happiness into your life. Bring back a perfect working relationship into your life. Bring back a new car, bring back, whatever it is. So we use La Chi, our healing tool, just to gently dissolve this story today. When you open the hands, we say Kai. Kai, Chinese word for open, but it also means dissolve at the deepest level. It means let go at last, for heaven's sakes, let go. And then we say, when we say her, it means bring back sparkling new energy to fill the place of the one-time problem we used to have that's now gone and dissolved. So when we open, we're making space inside our lives. And when we close the hands, we draw back healing energy to fill that space. Simple tone kai. The easiest exercise in the whole universe, but probably the most effective of them all. I dissolve that relationship problem, that physical problem, that whatever it might be. I bring fantastic new healing energy deep inside my life. All of the old stuff gone, the new stuff has been filled, the spaces have been filled with a brand new healing chi. Couple more. Get the next two a little quieter. Move twice more, but in silence. Just draw the hands back onto the belly for a moment or two. Hold chi deep inside. Beneficial time you've spent doing your Lao Chi changes and breaks down patterns inside you. You choose to look at these things. Things really do change. Things really change. Just stand here for a moment or two and allow this change to flush through your psyche, your system, your being. Form the little Lao Chi ball again. And this time we're just going to dissolve everything. We're going to let go of you at the deepest level of you. Everything that makes you. Your family, your genetics, your DNA. We're going to just dissolve it all. Your religion, your schooling, your family. It's going to dissolve it all. Past relationships, work or love, just dissolve them all. Your children, your family, your friends, your colleagues, dissolve them all. Just going to turn you into space, right here, right now. So let's just open a few times. Open further. Dissolve deeper into your being. Dissolve deeper into your story, your history. Dissolve deeper into your physicality. penetrate and dissolve into every cell, every bone, every muscle. As you stand here, just be chi. Nothing of you. Just pure consciousness. Return yourself to the field of pure consciousness. Let go of all earthly bands. All troubles dissolve. Feel the vastness of total consciousness. Feel the insignificance of everything you've experienced, been, or ever thought. This is the essence of you. Nowhere. Now, here, very present. You and I, total consciousness. Connected as one, moving as one. Total unity consciousness. So now let's just hold this connection for a minute or so. No you, no me. Just is. One chi consciousness. Okay, let's draw ourselves back into this container of consciousness that we call ourselves. But of course, we bring back the most perfect version of it. Body heals. clear consciousness connection. Chi consciousness heals completely. Chi consciousness in every cell. Chi consciousness creates miracles. We can gently aim our hands back towards our bellies. We can close our hands onto our bellies. Deep inside, every cell, perfect working order. Deep inside, our connections working well. Deep inside, our patterns are healthy. Our lives, the structure has changed. So I think we just feel our way through our body now. Stop for a moment. Feel every cell of your body. Work your way through every part of the physicality. Work your way through the emotions. Work your way through your life, your family, your friends. Feel the change you've brought about with everything that's ever troubled you. Feel the escape you've created. Feel the reality of realizing that you are pure consciousness. From the perspective of pure consciousness, anything can shift and change. Anything can be moved and transformed. Feel that deep inside you. Know that this alchemy has started. Know that you are the master of this change. Know that you are driving this life. Know that you are headed in the right direction. Good. So we can just gently step on chi to bring our feet back together again. Release our hands down by the sides. We can draw the hands up into the prayer position. And we can take our hands up in front of the face, up over the head, up into the blue sky. And then let the hands drift a little bit. Let the knees soften, open up, little fingers, ring fingers, middle fingers, split the hands apart, down to shoulder height. Gather and scoop 2 handfuls of chi, draw them round to the front, send this chi deep inside the brain. Apadantyan chi is abundant, blood and chi flowing well. All functions of your brain returning to perfect working order. We draw the hands back and we lightly touch Daba, send chi deep inside, middle Dantien strong. Middle Dantian supplies chi deep inside every organ in the body, deep inside every system, all functions returning to perfect working order. We drift the hands back behind, back of the hands move forwards, back of the hands turn over, sweeping out into the blue sky, and then gently drawing the hands back, gathering the chi, and the hands arrive on lower Dantian. Send the chi deep inside. Lower Dantian chi is abundant, blood and chi flowing well. This supports every function of your body, every cell of your body. Allow the chi to flow up your spine, nourishing your spine, up into your brain, nourishing your brain. your neck and your shoulders, down your arm, all the way to your fingertips. Whole spine, ribs filled with chi, upper torso, lower torso, into your hips and pelvis, into your hip joints and thighs, into your knees, into your calves, into your ankle joints, feet, to the tips of the toes and the soles of your feet, to the top of your head and the tips of your fingers. Your back, we often forget our backs. The back as well as the front, protected, safe, filled with chi. You, standing in your Wei Chi lair, protected. You in this wonderful chi body around you, protected. Blood and chi flowing well. Every aspect of your life set now on a healing path. As you stand here in your Wei Chi lair, just imagine yourself perfect, everything working well, every cell in your body working well, all functions normal, all functions normal. Let's turn 3 circles around the belly, just gathering the chi, holding it in the central space. And then 3 circles the opposite direction, just signals the body, come back, settle yourself back into this reality, whatever that might be. Set yourself up for your day, prepare, be ready. And then we can just release the hands down by the sides, so you open the eyes. Stretch out. Anything that needs a little stretch today? If you'd like to unmute yourselves, we can say Paula together. Very good. Okay, so hands up in the air. 1, 2.
Paula.
1, 2.
Paula.
Last time. 1, 2.
Paula.
Lovely. Thank you very much, people. Really good to see you. The recording of this will go up online, so share it with anybody if you'd like to. And
Jeremy,
otherwise,
I have a question, please, if you don't mind.
yeah, please go ahead, Goko.
I have a friend of mine. I was talking about practicing Qigong, and he asked me if I can join.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the Wednesday class, anybody can join. I'm happy to have anybody come along without any prior knowledge at all. But the Thursday morning class, Lift You Up, Put You Down, is always an easier one to get into.
One more comment. I have practiced many different kinds of techniques for meditation, breathing, and different exercises, and Sufis as well. And when you say about breathing, when you make her, it is a technique from meditation, but to activate the energy healing in the body, they open maximum the mouth and they pull the tongue maximum back, and you will get the sound. It's called ocean breathing.
Oh.
In Sufi's technique, when you do the ocean breathing and you close instantly the tongue up, you activate the third eye. What it sounds like, and it's like word hack.
Interesting.
Just instantly you close the tongue, you touch on very back of the sky, very close to tonsil, and that is the sound to wake up the third eye. That's I did share. Maybe we'll talk to many people.
Yeah, for us, we don't put too much attention on things like that. You know, it's very simplified, Dr. Pang's work. He doesn't go into the reasons why and the wherefores and so forth. But I mean, I know also from other work that I've done that the tones are very similar, you know, for deep kind of activations inside. And what you see is that Dr. Pang uses these very simple ideas, but that they cover all sorts of things that you know from other styles. So when you're doing sort of kind her, there's no real importance or reason to get involved in thinking about other styles. Just be soft, be open, and stay with it. And you know, and in the background, you know that it's kind of activating things along the way as well.
I just did want to share. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, no.
Just want to share the experiences.
Yeah, not at all. That's great. It's really interesting to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually,
You guys. Bye.
have a nice
Bye.
day. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye.